Good morning, students. In the last session, we have discussed about the designing of the differentiator. So how to design the differentiator, what are the steps we have to follow to design a differentiator. So those concepts we have discussed in the last session. Today we are going to discuss about the designing of the integrator. So how to design a integrator. So what are the steps we have to follow while designing the integrators. Okay, see here. So if you see the applications of the integrator, so the integrators are used in analog computers, solving the differential equations, so in analog to digital converters, in various signal wave shaping circuits, and in ramp generators. So these are the applications of the integrators. So the applications of the integrator, so integrators are used in solving the differential equations in analog to digital converters, in ramp generators, so in various signal wave shaping circuits, and in the analog computer. So these are the applications of the integrator. So how to design a integrator? So how to design a practical integrator? See here. So see this example. So design a practical integrator circuit with a DC gain of 10 to integrate a square wave of 10 kilohertz. To integrate a square wave of 10 kilohertz. So design a practical integrator circuit with a DC gain of 10 to integrate a square wave of 10 kilohertz. Here the DC gain for the practical integrator is, so it is RF by R1. So the DC gain for the practical integrator is RF by R1. So we know that, so in the given example the DC gain is 10. So 10 equal to RF by R1. So here the input frequency is 10 kilohertz. So the input frequency, so input signal frequency is 10 kilohertz and the DC gain is 10. So for the proper integration, the condition is F must be greater than 10 FA. F must be greater than or equal to 10 FA. Here FA is the break frequency of the integrator. FA is the break frequency of the integrator. So from this relation we can write F by FA equal to 10. So from this relation we can write F by FA equal to 10. So then FA equal to F by 10, then it becomes 1 kilohertz. FA becomes 1 kilohertz. For the practical integrator, we know that the break frequency FA is 1 by 2 pi RF CF. So for the practical integrator, the break frequency FA is 1 by 2 pi RF CF. So substitute all these values in this equation. So here FA is 1000. So and substitute in this equation FA equal to 1 by 2 pi RF CF. Then we get, so and choose R1 is 10 kilo ohms. So here RF CF is 1.5 into 10 power minus 4. Then choose R1 is 10 kilo ohms. So here RF equal to 10 R1. So RF equal to 10 R1. So then it becomes 100 kilo ohms. So from this we can calculate CF value. So here the CF is 16 nanofarads. So from the corner frequency, that is from the break frequency, we can calculate the CF. It is a feedback capacitor. And how to find out the compensating resistor? So it is the parallel combination, that is R1 parallel with RF. So here the compensating resistor is 9 kilo ohms. So substitute all these values in the practical integrator. See here. So substitute RF, CF, R1 and compensating resistor value. So it is the designing of the practical integrator. It is a designing of the practical integrator. So choose, see here. So choose F is greater than or equal to 10 FA. So next concept is current to voltage converter. See the diagram of current to voltage converter. Here the input current is applied to the inverting terminal, so and the non-inverting terminal is grounded. So the input current is IA is applied to the inverting terminal and non-inverting terminal is grounded. So current to voltage converter. Here the output voltage is proportional to the input current. The output voltage is proportional to the input current. So it accepts an input current II and it gives an output voltage V0. So then V0 equal to AII. So here output is V0 and input is II. So then the gain is V0 by II. So from this relation you can write V0 equal to AII. So here A is the gain of the circuit. A is the gain of the circuit. So here IV converters. So IV converters are also called trans resistance amplifiers. So current to voltage converters are also called trans resistance amplifiers. Trans resistance amplifiers. See here we have two nodes A and B. The node A is virtual ground as node B is grounded. So here VB equal to 0. So due to virtual ground concept, VA is also 0. So here II equal to, so we can write II equal to VA minus V0 by R. II equal to VA minus V0 by R. So II, this current is flowing through the feedback resistor. Okay. So this we can write II equal to VA minus V0 by R. So here VA equal to 0, then it becomes minus V0 by R. So from this V0 equal to, V0 is minus II into R. So that means output voltage is proportional to input current. Here the output voltage is proportional to the input current, that is current to voltage converter. It is also called as trans resistance amplifier. Trans resistance amplifier. So the applications of current to voltage converter. The applications of current to voltage converter. So first one is photodiode detector. Photodiode detector. Next photo FET detector. Photo FET detector. The applications of current to voltage converter are photodiode detector. So the photodiode produces electrical current in response to incident light. The photodiode produces electrical current in response to incident light. So the current is flowing through R. The voltage across the resistor. The output voltage is proportional to the diode current. So that is photodiode detector. So next example is photo FET detector. So here the photo FET detector is similar to a conventional JFET. So the photo FET detector is similar to a conventional JFET. So these are the applications of the current to voltage converter, photodiode detector and photo FET detector. So next concept is voltage to current converter. Voltage to current converter. See the circuit diagram of voltage to current converter. Here we have two types of voltage to current converters. First one is voltage to current converter with floating load. Voltage to current converter with floating load. Second one is voltage to current converter with grounded load. So see the circuit diagram of floating load V to I converters. Floating load V to I converters. In a voltage to current converter, the output load current is proportional to the input voltage. In a voltage to current converter, the output load current is proportional to the input voltage. So there are two types of V2I converters. So floating load and grounded type. Floating load and grounded type. So in floating type, V2I converter, RL is not connected to the ground. So in floating type, RL is not connected to the ground. So in grounded type, RL is connected to the ground. So that is the difference between these two voltage to current converters. In floating type, RL is connected to ground. In grounded type, RL is connected to the. In floating type, RL is not connected to ground. In grounded type, RL is connected to ground. See here, as the input current of op amp is 0, so see the circuit diagram. Here the input current of op amp is 0, so you can write IL equal to II. So II equal to VI by R1. II equal to VI by R1. So input current is the ratio of input voltage to input resistance. So VI by R1. Okay. So the load current is directly proportional to the input voltage. Here the load current is directly proportional to the input voltage. So if you see the applications of this voltage to current converter, so first one is low voltage DC voltmeter. The applications of the V2I converter are low voltage DC voltmeter, low voltage AC voltmeter, diode tester, Zener diode tester. So these are the applications of voltage to current converter. So Zener diode tester, low voltage DC voltmeter and low voltage AC voltmeter. So this is about voltage to current converter and current to voltage converter. So next concept is instrumentation amplifiers. Instrumentation amplifiers. So we'll see what is the instrumentation amplifier. So what are the important features of the instrumentation amplifier? See here. So in a number of industrial and consumer applications, so one is required to measure and control physical quantities. So some typical examples are measurement and control of temperature, humidity, light intensity, water flow, and etc. So these physical quantities are usually measured with the help of transducers. So the output of transducer has to be amplified so that it can drive the indicator or display system. So this function is performed by an instrumentation amplifier. So what is an instrumentation amplifier? So where we are using this instrumentation amplifier in industries? So actually most of the transducer outputs are generally of very low level signals. Most of the transducer outputs have low level signals. So such a low level signals are not sufficient to drive the next stage. Okay, the transducer output is low, so the low level signals are not sufficient to drive the next stage. So before the next stage, it is necessary to amplify the level of such low level signals and rejecting the noise and the interference. Okay, so the special amplifier which is used for such a low level amplification with high CMRR, high input impedance, that amplifier is called instrumentation amplifier. That amplifier is called instrumentation amplifier. So here the features of the instrumentation amplifier are high gain, high CMRR, so high gain stability, low output impedance, high input impedance, so low power consumption, low thermal drift, high slew rate, so easier gain adjustment. So these are the features of the instrumentation amplifier. Okay. So actually the purpose of instrumentation amplifier is, so in industrial applications, so it is required to measure and control physical quantities, so like humidity, light intensity, water flow, and etc. So to measure these physical quantities, we are using transducers. So the output of transducer is low. So to amplify that low level signals, we are using the instrumentation amplifiers. So it is a 3 op amp instrumentation amplifier. See here, it is a 3 op amp instrumentation amplifier. So the features of the instrumentation amplifier are high gain. Here the features are high gain, high CMRR, so finite and accurate stable gain, finite, accurate and stable gain. So actually it is usually in the range of 1 to 1000. Here the gain has to be accurate and closed loop gain must be stable. The closed loop gain must be stable. So second feature is easier gain adjustment. Easier gain adjustment. So actually easier gain adjustment, so the gain adjustment is done continuously using a potentiometer. The gain adjustment is done using a potentiometer or with the help of switches, so which are JFET or MOSFET switches. So by using switches, that is JFET or MOSFET switches or potentiometer, we can adjust the gain of the instrumentation amplifier. Next one is high input impedance. Next feature is high input impedance. So to avoid the loading effect, on the source, the input impedance of the instrumentation amplifier must be very high. So to avoid the loading effect on the source, the instrumentation amplifier must be, the input impedance of the instrumentation amplifier must be very high. So ideally it is infinite. So that's why it has high input impedance. Next feature is low output impedance. So it is to avoid the loading effect on the next stage. So to avoid the loading effect on the next stage, here the output impedance must be low. So next feature is high CMRR. High CMRR. The instrumentation amplifier must amplify only the differential input. So and completely it has to reject the common mode signal. So the common mode means noise, common mode signal means noise. So it has to reject the common mode signal and it has to amplify only the differential signal, differential mode signal. So that's why the CMRR must be high. Next feature is low power consumption. So here the power consumption of an instrumentation amplifier should be as low as possible. So the power consumption is low. And next feature is high slew rate. So the slew rate of this amplifier must be high. So to provide maximum undistorted output voltage. So to provide maximum undistorted output voltage. So the slew rate must be maximum. So it has high slew rate. Okay. So these are the features of the instrumentation amplifier. So it is analysis of 3 op amp instrumentation amplifier. See here. So from the circuit diagram we can write V0 equal to minus R2 by R1. So V2 dash plus 1 plus R2 by R1 into R2 V1 dash by R1 plus R2. So it becomes R2 by R1 into V1 dash minus V2. So here no current flows into op amp. The current flowing in the resistor is I equal to V1 minus. So it is V1 minus V2 into V. I equal to V1 minus V2. Here V1 dash equal to R dash into I plus V1 equal to R dash by R. V1 minus V2 plus V1. Here the output voltage becomes R2 by R1 into the output voltage R2 by R1 into 1 plus 2 RF 1 plus 2 R dash by R into V1 minus V2. It is the output voltage, it is the final output voltage of the instrumentation amplifier. So V0 equal to R2 by R1 into 1 plus 2 R dash by R into V1 minus V2. So it is the overall gain of the circuit. This is the overall gain of the circuit. So when comes to advantage, with the help of variable RG, see here, we are using the variable resistor here. With the help of variable resistance RG, the gain can be easily varied. The gain can be easily varied without disturbing the symmetry of the circuit. So the advantage of the instrumentation amplifier are, in this we are using the variable resistor. So with the help of variable resistance RG, the gain can be easily varied without disturbing the symmetry of the circuit. Here the gain depends on external resistances. The gain depends on external resistances R2 and R1. So the gain can be adjusted accurately and made stable by selecting high quality resistances. Here the gain depends on external resistance R2 and R1. So if you choose proper resistance values, proper high quality resistance values, the gain can be adjusted accurately and made stable. Next one is the input impedance depends on the input impedance of the non-inverting amplifier. So the input impedance depends on the input impedance of the non-inverting amplifier, so which is very high. So the input impedance of non-inverting amplifier is very high. Here the input impedance depends on the input impedance of the non-inverting amplifier. And the output impedance is the output impedance of the op amp A3. So the output impedance is the output impedance of the op amp A3. So it is very low. So that's why here the input impedance is high, the output impedance is low, the gain can be easily adjusted. So with the help of variable resistor, the gain can be easily varied, so without disturbing the circuit. So these are the advantages of the instrumentation amplifier. Okay. So next one is, in the next concept, so we are going to discuss about filters. We are going to discuss about filters. So what is a filter? So what are the different types of filters? So how to design the filters? So all these things we are going to discuss in the next class. So with this I am going to stop the presentation. Thank you.